continuing on the library build. I'm Hawk, I make props and costumes. We're working on my library. Let's start with the walls. We worked on the ceiling last time. Let me show you where we're at with that. So all of the lumber is up, at least the base. And then we're going to start adding accents to that. I installed all new hardwood flooring. This is Patagonian rosewood is what the box said. Carpe, I believe, is the type of lumber it is. I installed all new. I pulled up the old stuff, put down the new stuff. It's super neat lumber. It gets very red in the sun, like it turns it red, so it goes from a brown to red. It's kind of cool. But we installed all new hardwood, and then we painted the walls. We went from this green to this obnoxious yellow. Going from green to gold, I think would have done horrible things. So I did 2 coats of the yellow and then a couple of coats of this amazing mustard gold. And since I do want to be extra, I picked up Rust-Oleum has metal accents that I'm going to dry brush on the entire wall. So this wall here is going to be stem to stern bookshelves. It's going to be comic book storage over there. But this wall here is going to be, this couple of walls is going to be just a beautiful gold. Oh, and speaking of things we did, this used to be my closet to the other room, to my master bedroom. And we closed that off and we opened this up to be a double closet. All of my bookbinding things are going to go here, chairs, stuff like that, to storage basically. But this entire area is going to be dedicated to bookbinding. It's a hobby I got into for a couple of costumes, and I need a place to put all of this stuff, and that's where it's going to go. Library makes sense. And for the record, when I say this got done, I don't mean I hired someone to do this. I've done all this work myself. I have a lot of weird skills that I've picked up throughout my years, and construction's just one of them. But probably going to get into time-lapse mode while we paint this a fantastic gold. I've managed to get, good focus, all of the walls. Such a great color. Except for this one here. Because this wall, okay, except for this wall here, because this wall is getting mostly bookshelves. This wall's gold. It's hard to see with being blown out with the window in the background, but it's got a fantastic sheen to it. So now we let it dry so we can see what color it actually is. It's going to be a little darker, but so far I'm very happy with how this is turning out. And when I said every drop of paint, I meant it. Any other color, I don't think I could have pulled this off. But I used every drop of paint that container had. These are the bookshelves for my living room. I brought them in here, I put them up, and I hate them. I hate everything about them. They do not look good in this room. They're very dark. I wanted a very dark stain, and came home with almost paint. That's how, and I'm like, it didn't look right. When I put them up, I'm like, they're fine. I've always wanted to redo them. So that's what we're doing now. And we're gonna model them after these. So these are corner units, right? They're very nice. Hold on. Hooker is the brand. They're very nice. Like I said, they're curved, they're corner units. They're just stunning. So I'm gonna model after these. Now, like the costuming, the whole thing is a little encompassing, a little much. But you break it down into little pieces, it suddenly becomes much more manageable. So the molding, we're doing flat, so I don't have to really worry about the curve, but it's just barely raised and rounded over. That's all this is just raised and rounded over. This profile here that looks super detailed, it's just a corner bead, but it's inset. So instead of just coming out and around, it goes in and then around. So that's super manageable. I may not even do that on the bookshelves. This I'm gonna do. And then the base, once you flatten everything out, the shelf has a slight recess to the edge. And then the toe kick goes in, I'd say about 1/4 inch. So we've got 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch, and then flat. That's super easy to do. And then the panel detail here, again, it's the same inset, quarter round, inset. Since there's only going to be one exposed side on the bookshelves, I may not even put this in. I may just leave it nice and flat. And I'm using solid wood for that, by the way. I just gotta, since they're books, I want my shelves to be the same thickness as my books. I don't want to stack a bunch of knickknacks up around my bookshelves. I want to be able to pull out a book and put a book back. So I went with 1 by 8, 8 foot. We're going 90 inches tall. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure down. This is 5 inches. Then I'm going to go down 10 inches, which is the size of a hardback. First shelf, 10 inches, another shelf, and then I'm going to do a bunch of pegs. So it'll be adjustable. So it's a super easy, super achievable bookshelf. I know everybody uses the Billy bookshelves from IKEA. and they're okay. Don't get me wrong, they're fine. If I can do solid wood and the lumber is relatively inexpensive. I just got standard pine. It'll stain fine. It's a bookshelf. It's gonna look great. The Billy bookshelves are particle board that's veneered. I want solid wood. So altogether, I'm at about $100 for 2 custom full-size bookshelves. It's a beautiful day out, so I'm going to take care of most of this outside. Cut all the shelves, cut all the long pieces, and this is the story stick. Here's the front, back, the first 2 shelves. This is where we're going to start the holes. This is where we're going to end the holes, and there's the bottom shelf in the reveal. This is a Craig shelf pin jig. Comes with a little aligning thing and a drill bit with a collar. This slides to whatever side I need it on. In this case, it's going to be this side. And it goes flush against the edge. There's a hole with 2 lines that I line up my mark on. And then there's all the holes straight down. That's it. Do that a million times on both sides. Then we sand everything and start putting it together. That was a lot of holes. But they're done.
36 times 8 is 288.
288 holes to be exact. Everything's been sanded. We are now going to glue and nail everything together. We're starting at the toe, because it's the only one that has a positive 90 degree. What I mean by that is it's the only one that butts up against each other, so it should hold each other in place. The rails in the top row there's been glued on. This is the top piece, the cornice. I haven't put it in just yet, because I want to make sure everything else is in place. That way I know the reveal is just right, because I want just a little bit sticking out. Coating everything with glue and then just lining up my lines. Now we glue and install the front piece. This one's basically done. So now, let's do that again. And then we stain. Now for the most transformative part of the whole process. Stain. I enjoy stain. Love how it smells, love how it looks. It's my favorite, like I said, it's my favorite part of this whole process. I should be using a much bigger brush than this. This is going to take me days. But to give you a quick preview, that's nice. I like that. But I ain't got the time for a tiny foam brush. Sorry. Jeez Louise. This takes up exactly my entire workspace here. Before I get too into it, stand it up, stain everything, and then let it cure or let it dry overnight. So I hate these. So let's just, not bad, huh? Now I'm going to secure it to the wall. That's what these back cleats are for. Go into a stud so I don't have to worry about them falling out. I'm going to put probably one or two, probably one on top and one on the bottom, into the stud on the side too. So this thing's going to be rock solid. But that I like. A little bit of progress. This bookshelf was built exactly the same as this bookshelf. And then I put books on it. This bookshelf was built the same, just different dimensions, narrower. All my role-playing stuff goes up here. I mounted all of our lightsabers. This is very neat. There's two over there. We put up window treatment. The walls have been painted gold, but then there's this thing. Kim picked up these at the restore. They're amazing. I was going to build a thing to go in them. And I was going to build a thing to go in them to hold all of my comic books. Well, our comic books. Kim is a comic book collector too. We had these shelves that just fit perfect. They matched amazingly. And I just put cleats on either side and put the shelves in. These are secured to the wall. They aren't going anywhere. And there's my comic books. I haven't been able to store or display. Well, this isn't quite a display, but this is as close to display as I can get. My comic books, I think, ever. So I'm super excited about the fact that I can grab a box and read a comic book. I can put out my graphic novels. I can grab one and flip through. It's super exciting. We've got some art on the wall too. The art's pretty neat. So this is Adam Warlock. It's one of Angel Medita's. Got that at a Comic-Con. No, Fan Expo. When we sat talking for a while. He had one stashed away for us. He's a great guy. Good artist. This is Philip Xavier. That's from Legend Lore? No, The Realm. One of them. I'm not sure. That's Kim's thing. Again, super detailed artist. He's in France now. Really good artist. And then we got Justin Briner's autograph. He played Deku in My Hero. And then Team 4-Star had a Final Fantasy spoof they did. The Mecha Abridged. And I absolutely loved it. And when we saw him at that was a Fan Expo. We got his autograph on it because I thought it was just kind of funny. And it's Kim's Vampire Hunter D. This thing, we've been lugging around for so long. It's really nice to have him up and actually on display. I just picked up a couch. Well, it's not so much a couch as it is a love seat. But this is basically a 10 by 10 room. It's not a big room. And this is the only large piece of furniture. The nice thing is, it came with an ottoman that almost turns it into a bed. When my friend Destiny comes up from Florida, This is probably where she's going to stay. It's a library, and it's got a bed. And then there's this wall. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about this wall. This wall is going to have it's going to have an entire video about, because this is also going to be where all my bookbinding stuff goes. I figure we'll go over that on its own. But it's nice to have my art up. Kim and I drew these. It's a Gambit and Rogue. Figured they go on either side of the big glass door, which is kind of neat. And that gets us up to date. And that gets us up to date where we are. Things that still need to be done. I still need to do the window trim. I still need to do the baseboard. All the detail in the ceiling detail can wait. The comic book shelves need a top lintel, and that's about it. I'm dangerously close to being done with this room. We're building a different style of bookshelf. This is for the middle, where there is no bookshelf that should have a bookshelf. It's 3 foot tall, 45 inches wide, and it's going to have 2 shelves. This one's being made out of plywood because it's exceptionally long, and I want to make sure it doesn't warp weird. The shelves, they're against a wall, and they're against each other, and then they have shelves in between, so they're less likely to twist. And plywood is more dimensionally stable than solid lumber. This one sheet of plywood is not enough to make the entire thing. I have another half sheet over there that we're going to use to finish everything off. But I'm going to sketch everything out, decide what I want and how I want to do it. This piece of plywood has a couple of chips in it that I'm not overly happy with, but I'll just put those to the back since I have bookshelves on the other side of them. You're only seeing like 2 inches of the whole thing. So I have as much marked out as I can. I have the full top marked out, which is going to go the whole length. So it's going to stick over the 2 small shelves, which is a full 72 inches. And it's going in 14 deep. And there's going to be like a 1/2 inch face on it as well. So the top is marked out, and I have one full side marked out. And then this line, which is the top of the side, just extends a bit past, because the kerf or the thickness of the saw blade is going to change how far. Because if I make it 14 and then 28, that's going to be too short. So once I have this piece cut out, I'm going to mark the other line to cut later. And same thing for the 2 shelves I've got going on. The problem is it's very breezy outside, and I don't want to use my table saw in the wind. Because it's a big sheet of plywood, which basically becomes a large kite. But I have a track saw. And track saws are fantastic. They do a great job of making straight cuts. Add it to the track. And the saw for said track. So I could easily do this with a circular saw as well, but you know, if I've got the tool, I might as well use it. Come on. Right now this is just resting directly on my sawhorses, which are metal. And if I run this saw over it, it's going to cut into my sawhorses. So I'm going to grab a piece of scrap wood, put it underneath, and then I'm going to cut out all of these pieces, all 5 of these pieces. So here's the top. It's been cut out. And I've cut a bunch of these 1 inch. They're 1 by 3/4 inch strip, or half by 3/4 inch strips. And they're just gonna get glued in place and tacked to cover up the plywood edge. That's all. So I'm going to glue these in place. And the glue I'm using, it's just standard Type-Bond, just original wood glue. And then I'm using 1.5 inch brad nails to hold it in place. So I got this little bitty pancake compressor I picked up from, I believe it's Home Depot. It was like 60 bucks. It was a Black Friday thing. I wouldn't normally have gone into a department store on that day, but I don't remember why I did, but I did. I'm just going to line it up and tack it in place. I didn't measure it, by the way. I just set it up there and marked it. Same with this one. I haven't measured this yet. I'm just going to wait till the other end is on, and then I'm going to line it up in place, mark it, and then cut it. Too many 16ths and 10ths and all kinds of stuff in cutting and measuring. And it's real easy to transpose numbers. I do that often. I'm not good with numbers. So putting something in place and then just marking it, way safer. That's the only one that has more than one side, by the way. The rest of these just have a single side that needs to be covered. There we go. So I'm just going to keep doing that until I'm done. And then we'll get back together and we'll glue everything together. Everything's been sanded to 220. Construction is exactly the same it was with the other one. A little glue, a little bit of brad nails. Bob's your uncle. I'm going to cut a brace. I don't like how wobbly it is. We just put the other side on, and then we start staining. So it was simple for the trim. I just ripped the edges down, lightly sanded everything. I went with a simple style because I figured if I want to add to it, I can. And if I want to keep it just in the background, I can. Most of the baseboard, let me show you the baseboard real quick. This is the same baseboard I used in my bedroom, and I'm super happy with it. I didn't stain the trim yet because I'm not sure if I want to go with the red like the piece I put together or the browns of the bookshelves. I want to live in it for a couple days, see how I feel. This is where I'm going to stop for now. So I guess let's look at all the details, a reveal, whatever you want to call it. These aren't finished because I'm not sure if I'm keeping them. This one's going to stay. I just have to stain it in heaven, you know. And the helmets are just placeholders. They're probably not going to stay. More than likely, I'm going to put up a center the Green Lantern and do all my rings around it, and then do infinity stones or gems if, you know, we're going by the comics, which we do. I may put a gauntlet up there. I don't know yet. It's kind of a work in progress. So I don't know if I'd call it dark academia as much as I don't want to call it a nerd cave. I think that pejorative. It's a little overused. This is just where it's my library. I've wanted a library like this for as long as I can remember. Now I have it. This is my favorite room in the house. It's got my artwork up, all the books I love, and all the books Kim loves. I mean, it's all my games, everything. This is, to me, media, printed. This is all printed for me, and to say I'm happy is an understatement. So then, of course, it's not counting the closet. And the closet's going to be a thing all unto itself. Like I said, that's where I'm going to put all of my bookbinding equipment. So there's going to be an entire video on finishing out that closet. But for the most part, we may do another one with all the little details because everything needs a bit of trim, just a little bit. But again, it's down the road. That ain't anytime soon. Next week, we're probably going to get back to our normal shenanigans. If you're interested in seeing our normal shenanigans, it's probably going to be a casting video. I have a couple of buckles I need to make for a few friends. So, if you're interested in that, like, subscribe, leave a comment. Do you think I'm missing a couple of books? What do you think I'm missing? What's your favorite book? What would you put in this library? I'd like to hear about it. Till then, I'll see you next time.